Hey, what's up, guys? Node Investor here, bringing you an update on the markets. Another doozy day on the markets. Selling off. Turns out that whole Bitcoin cash thing's got everybody worried again. News everywhere. We should change BCC. BCC is not going to be Bitcoin Cash. It's going to be Bitcoin Crash. Okay, that's my lame joke. But still, guys, Bitcoin took a little dump today. Ethereum went down. All the altcoins got hit pretty hard. So let's take a quick look at some of the charts. Let you know what I'm thinking, what we might expect. What are some support levels? Maybe this is the pullback some of you guys are waiting for. But I got to say, these last 2 months, I got a lot of new people on the show here. A lot of folks following me now. Many of you are brand new to crypto. Maybe been in the space a couple of months, a couple of weeks. These couple of weeks, especially, have been pretty rough, I gotta say. So, if you're still hanging in there, um, great. I mean, it's not easy. Let's just put it that way. Especially with the altcoins, it's not easy, and it's not gonna ever be easy. That's just been the nature of cryptocurrency, and I'll show you some longer-term Bitcoin charts here to kind of illustrate where we've been and where things have come from. And if you joined right at the start of the big run-up we had from April, May, that was easy. That was nice. We had huge gains very regularly. Things are a little rough right now, so stay tight, hold on tight. Let's take a look at the markets here. So let's look at Bitcoin first here. I'm going to go to trading view. So we were all watching this real tight pattern setting up, and this thing just started to draw out and started getting longer and longer and longer and tighter and tighter and tighter. And I was starting to get a little nervous, and I think a lot of people were. Is just the more obvious something becomes in the trading world, and the longer and tighter a pattern gets, it typically does not do what everybody wants it to do. That's just the way it works. And so everybody was expecting this thing to break out to all-time highs. What you want to see is when this thing happens to tighten up real quick and then just keep going, right? Momentum really started to slow down. And sure enough, I had just sent out a newsletter with that little meme that says, "Come on, Bitcoin, do something." And sure enough, I think within a couple of hours of sending that, we saw the big leg down. And then I thought, well, here we go. And sure enough, it was a bearish break to the downside, and it was a pretty quick and sharp sell-off, which so far has bottomed out around 24.50 or so. Now, we'll see if that holds. We're bouncing a little bit here. Volume is pretty light on the bounce, so I'm not too excited yet, but here's the areas I'm looking at. So you can see on the horizontal basis, right, I highlighted this area of support a couple of days back in another video, and this was really where we broke out of resistance here. We had bounced a couple of times, and then we finally broke out and had that real nice rally that took us almost to 2,900 and then started to pull back. And right now I'm thinking that may be the area where we hold. We didn't quite get there today, but we were really close. And so that's the area I'm looking for. I highlighted two areas in that last video. I said 2,600 was the first level I'd be watching. Didn't really hold much, pretty much sliced right through that. So the next level was 2,400. I didn't think we'd see it, but it looks like we might. We're basically right around 2,500 right now. And so that's the area I'm going to be really looking at. I haven't picked up any Bitcoin yet. I'm just really watching this. Between now and August 1st, which couldn't come any sooner in my opinion. Just it's going to be volatile as heck. There's just going to be a lot of uncertainty still. Looks like there's more news, so we're just going to have to wait. I mean, my last BTC purchase was around 2,000, so right in this area. And I haven't bought any more yet. I was kind of watching this to see if it was going to break out here, but it's pulling in. So we'll see if this is looking like it's a good low and we start to get back above the moving averages, then maybe it might be a time to step in. Let's go to the 4-hour chart here. So there's a little bit of a more zoomed out look, and you can see the same thing, right? Just this area of support here. Right now, this is where we're at. So let's see how that looks on the Fibonacci. I haven't done that yet. So if we did a retracement of the rally and we say top at around 29, let's pull it in a little bit. You're 50% is not even a fib number, so it really doesn't matter. 38 is really where we're kind of bouncing around there. So maybe that's the pullback on the Fibonacci there. Otherwise, that 2400 is just kind of really more of a support level, doesn't really correlate with Fibonacci. The next level below that would be 2200. Now, I know I've gotten comments. Some of you guys are hoping for 2200 and expecting 2200, so that would align with the key ratio. I don't know if we'll get that far, but hey, between now and August 1st, that's a long time, and really anything can happen. So those are the levels I'm looking at. I'm not taking any positions here yet. I almost did today on the little pullback down when I started in the 2400 range here, but I am gonna wait and let's see how this plays out. Right now we're bouncing a little bit. If this is going to be a little bit more of a downtrend, if we have more downside to go, what's going to happen is we're going to bounce right into this moving average here, this 10 EMA, and that's going to start to be a little area of resistance. Otherwise, we're going to bounce right back, and this whole little breakdown here is going to be a key area to get back above pretty quickly, $2,700. So we'll see if we can do that. And Bitcoin's just going to lead the market right now. Everybody's watching Bitcoin. Bitcoin's taking all the headlines, and the other altcoins, Ethereum included, are really just going to take the cues off of Bitcoin. And that's just the thing to look at right now, and really the big one to hold. Now, longer term, I've kind of been wanting to do this for a little bit. If you look at the longer term daily chart, let me zoom out quite a bit here. And so this is going back basically to, what is this here? This is April of 2015, right? And so this is a logarithmic chart. Obviously, if you're not on logarithmic, it looks a little bit more parabolic. But on a logarithmic chart, we have this mega trend, if you want to call it that's been in place for pretty much since 2015, right? And you can kind of see where this goes. Let me adjust it a little bit here. And so maybe that's not a perfect line, but you can see the trend there. There's just this general trend that's been in place for several years now. And Bitcoin just makes a series of higher highs and pulls in. And what tends to happen is, we come away from the trend here, we get extended, and then we kind of pull back. And then it takes quite a bit of time before we make new highs. In this case, this was November of 2015, and we didn't break that high until May of 2016. So that's quite a long time, right? 6 months. And we had a little rally, and then again flatten out, and really started the rally here this year. We had a couple of big pullbacks. And look at how extended we are from that trend line. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to come straight back down, right? But things tend to revert to the mean. They tend to settle in for a little bit. Now, it's completely possible that we've now entered a period of, a steeper trend, and the trend is starting to change, and we're going to start seeing more accelerated growth. That's certainly possible. But another way to look at it too is, what if we just have to wait until this trend begins to catch up, right? And that's going to be a long wait. I mean, you're at this point, you're talking to the end of the year, maybe a little bit further into the springtime. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's certainly possible, right? We could just digest this big move we've had. And so for you longer term Bitcoin holders, that's something to look at as far as more buy opportunities. Hey, I've got a little bit more time. It's not going to run away on me. We won't be at 3,000-4,000 here in a few months, right? So that's another way to look at it. There's a lot of different numbers out there. Goldman Sachs, which I tend to not like to agree with them, but Goldman Sachs really said, hey, be patient. Bitcoin's going to pull in a little bit here, but we'll be over 3,000 in 2018, and I would agree with that. I mean, that's just, I don't know how low it's going to go. They were talking about 1,700 again. I doubt it, but who knows, right? Maybe this was the low back here around 1,800. But just some thoughts. I mean, if you look at this longer term trend we've been in, if you want to play around with the charts, it's an interesting experiment. But if you just extend this out for a couple of years, assuming this same growth rate, we get to 10,000 by 2020. And so you figure that's just a little over two and a half years, right? That's not that far away. So that would be incredible to see Bitcoin at 10,000 in 2.5 years. And many people are saying we're going to be there. Many people are saying we're going to be a lot higher than that. 200,000, 500,000, a million. I'm not in the camp of those huge numbers just yet, at least not by 2020. But 10,000, certainly in the realm of possibility. And so if you're a longer term holder, you're not really caring about these, you're just kind of buying it and socking it away and buying more when it dips, then everything's fine. But most of us, and I know most of the folks that follow me, we watch this a little bit closer, and we're trading altcoins, and we're buying and selling, and we're a little bit more active, right? And I tend to be, I don't like to ride these drops from 3,000 down to 18, right? I'd rather get out of the way and buy a little bit more when it starts to drop, and then that's just the way I do it because I want to maximize my gains. And same with the altcoins. I mean, I don't want to ride an altcoin down 70, 80% just to let it recover. I'd rather just step aside and let the move play out and get back in. But from a Bitcoin perspective, that's just an interesting way to look at it. So let's take a look at another chart here. So this is Bitcoin on GDAX. This is the 4-hour chart. Again, similar, really the thing to look at right now is this little consolidation we're seeing. Let's zoom in a little bit to the 1 hour. So you can see a nice bar there on the 1 hour, kind of an engulfing bar. So maybe that was the low, and we're going to start heading higher. Time will tell. Maybe that was just a big washout, and we're moving up. But I'm going to let it play out a little bit here. I'm going to watch this one closely, see how it acts here in the next day or so before deciding what to do. But the moving averages really we're going to want to see get above, and then really the key is going to be, can we get back above this little area where it broke down, and that's going to be around 2,700. So that's going to be a key level to watch on the upside for Bitcoin. So Ethereum, let's take a look at Ethereum. So Ethereum, again, had that big drop. Now the thing with Ethereum is we had this low put in, a couple of days ago around the 180, 190 area, and that's pretty much where we hit today. So we haven't broken that to the downside. So you can see that here, and this is where we hit today on that. Let me draw that again for you guys. So we're there on that, and pretty much at the same level. So that's a good sign for Ethereum. This is the hourly chart again, starting to move up a little bit. You're seeing some sellers coming in here as it starts to approach this moving average. So again, it's going to just really follow Bitcoin. I'm going to watch this one and see if we can start to get above these. But probably nothing to do other than if you didn't get in up here and you missed this little dip at around 180, 190. This may be another secondary entry point, especially if you are a believer that the bottom is in and we are going to start heading north. Then this is probably a good buy opportunity, probably a good longer term buy opportunity in my opinion. Now, Ethereum versus Bitcoin, it's kind of putting in a really good low right here. So let me draw this here, guys. So you can see it's, multiple times here in recent weeks hit this, since the big rally, and we've come down. Big volume came in here, but that was a lot of selling because you see these wicks. But we're right back at that low right now, and it's going to be interesting to see if versus Bitcoin, if Ethereum can hold this low. If it is, that's probably a really decent low for Ethereum, and so that's an area I'm watching there. Multiple bottoms there, so this is going to be a key level of support to watch on the Ethereum BTC chart. So that's basically 0.078 is the area you want to watch there. Now Litecoin is forming a pattern, and some of you guys who follow me or who have taken the training already know this and are watching this. Let me zoom out a little bit to the dailies. And so this is the daily chart of Litecoin, and I've been watching this little trend that we were in. Here is this longer term trend, and this was really the key area to be watching, and more specifically I was watching a little bit more of an incline, more something along these lines here. But in recent days we've been forming a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern here. So we had the big breakout, and that was a nice move up, and then we pulled in just perfectly fine. Then we had another move up which took it higher, and then we had the big sell-off, and now we're forming a smaller rise here, and that's forming a little bit of a right shoulder, which typically the right shoulder is going to be a little lower than the left shoulder. So let me show you guys what I'm looking at. And if you're familiar with this pattern, this is a bearish pattern because this is a big reversal pattern, meaning when it breaks, it's going to break to the downside if it breaks below that neckline. And so the neckline would start here, during the breakouts, basically take that up to there, the dip here, there's the head, here's this most recent low and the high there. And so your neckline is going to be all the way down to about $36 or so on the USD. Now, I was watching this more inclined trend thinking we better not break that trend, and we're starting to edge below it here. We broke it a little bit today, edged up. So this is going to be real interesting to watch on Litecoin. You're not going to want to see Litecoin break too much further, right? So let me remove this trend line. The neckline here on this pattern is going to be this 36, 35 area. If we break below that, that could invite some pretty quick selling because this was a really tight consolidation here. And so breaking below that, you can see another leg down, which will take you right back into the 20s. And if we don't hold that, I mean, who knows, right? It could really sell off pretty quickly there. So keep an eye on Litecoin. Personally, I've lightened up a little bit on it, no pun intended, but I've reduced my exposure to it. I like Litecoin, the project. I'm not saying anything negative about that. I think it's good, and we're just gonna have to wait to see how this plays out. What you're gonna want to see is, let me delete this head and shoulder pattern here. You're gonna want to see this moving average that's right now very bullish, very positive. It's holding. You're gonna want to see this hold, and right now we're getting really close where the moving averages are starting to tighten up right here. And so this is the longer term 50 moving average on the daily charts. And so just something to be aware of, guys. Litecoin is a little bit of a juncture here. It could bounce off this moving average and just invalidate this pattern. I'd like to see that invalidated by a rise above this right shoulder. So you're going to want to see it close right above this $47 mark, basically. If we can close above that, then probably nothing to worry about as far as head and shoulder pattern goes. But just something I'm watching. It's something I'm keeping my eye on right now. This 50-day moving average is holding up nice, so it'd be a nice area for Litecoin to just start moving off of here. Let's take a look at Stratus. So I've been watching Stratus. If you guys know, I've been in this one for a little bit on this bounce off the lows, and is really taking a beating here in the last couple days. And today you saw a steep selling here. And one thing I hadn't noticed previously, but look at where it bounced right into just a couple of days ago, right into this longer term moving average. I mean, almost to the penny, if you can see that there, and just really started to sell off since then. Today we saw a little bit of a support candle here, which is good. So maybe the selling is over for Stratus, but Stratus has taken a pretty good fall here in the last 3 days. Looks like it wants to bounce. So let's zoom in to see what I'm going to be wanting to watch on Stratus. So here's the 4-hour chart, and we were putting in this nice little trend, and I lightened up a little bit once we broke this trend here, just basically today. We had this pull in, and really was nothing to worry about. But once we started to break these moving averages, it started to get cautious, and then sure enough, we had a little sell off. Now we're bouncing, but here's the thing that you're going to want to watch is see this blue line. That's the shorter term 10 EMA on the 4-hour chart. See if we can get above that. Right now it's starting to really turn down, and it's acting as a little bit of an area of resistance. And so we're going to want to get above that first, and then we're going to want to get above this little area here, basically 0.02, get back above that. And if that happens, then I'll feel better about Stratus. I mean, it's just normal pullback, definitely steep. And if you're buying it up here, you're taking a little bit of a hit. I was buying it down at these lower levels. But admittedly, I'm still in Stratus, but I did take some off the table when with a little bit of this, a little bit of profit taken, and we'll see. I might get my second half position back in if we can get above. The area you're not going to want to see it break below, and should be a good stop area for you, is a close below the lows of today. So I'm not going to count the little wick here. I'm going to count the closing bars. So this is the area I'm going to really be watching. If it gets starts to close below that, I'll probably close out to the other half of my remaining position in Stratus. Ant shares. So let's look at Ant shares. So the pattern still looks really nice on Ant shares. I'm liking Ant shares. As you guys know, I've been bullish on this, been talking about this one. We had this nice little consolidation before the big pop, and this yellow line was really the big breakout. And look at the volume that came in on the buy side. Very bullish, very powerful volume. Since then, we've pulled back, had a pretty big sell-off today here. So we're kind of consolidating. We're bouncing a little bit here. We're basically right in that area of that yellow line there, right in the zone. So you're not going to want to see Ant shares get too far below that. You know, right now, really not a whole lot to worry about on Ant shares as long as it holds this recent low for the day here. So I'm going to keep a tight leash on it. I'm still in Ant shares. I still like Ant shares. And if the market starts to turn around and Bitcoin starts to head back up, this might be a good secondary opportunity to look at Ant shares right here to add on. But let's zoom in a little bit more here, the 2-hour chart. So again, you know, pulling back like everything else, but not too bad, right? It's kind of holding these recent supports. And finally, NEM. So let me pull out a little bit to the 4-hour. So, you know, NEM's been a little volatile here, but all in all, just kind of tracking with Bitcoin, right? I mean, up, down, but in this little bit of a zone right now, just kind of this little tight area that it's been back and forth in. So not too bad on NEM, really. The area, again, if it's going to start to outperform Bitcoin, you can see pretty clearly that it's just continuing to hit this resistance area here around the, it's called the 6,300 Satoshi level. So that's kind of the area I'm watching. So far, I mean, things are trending okay. It's basically tracking the Bitcoin. So Bitcoin took a little hit today. NEM took a hit. You know, if you're looking at the fiat values of NEM, but versus Bitcoin, not too bad here, but you're not going to want to see it break below this recent trend here. So again, the moving averages are holding. I'm liking NEM here. I'm going to watch it closely, see if we can get above this. And if we can break above this, really the next level of resistance is going to be quite a ways up around, you know, 72, 7,300. So not bad, but NEM's still on my list. It's one I mentioned in the newsletter. Just wanted to keep an eye on for now, guys. So that's going to be it, guys, as far as altcoins go. Just back to the Bitcoin chart here. You know, what to do next. I mean, this is the daily chart. You know, you're seeing a little bit of a pullback after that big run up. Sure, the pullback today was fast, a little scary. Some big volume came in, and I get that. I'm with you guys. But you know, it's kind of normal for Bitcoin. It is what it is right now. We're in a very volatile environment. And so, you know, you've got a couple of options. If you think this was the low, and then today's action is really just a good opportunity to add more if you didn't get in here. The other thing is, you know, maybe we're in a little bit of another second leg down, and so you might want to have some capital available to pick some more up if we do hit, you know, 2,200 or even the test the old lows again, which I personally don't expect, but I guess anything could happen here. But you know, so if you're looking to add more, this is a place to look at it. If you're waiting for another pullback, you know, 2,200 is probably the next level I'm looking at. 20 through, you know, 23 probably is in that area. Or you could just wait, you know, and just kind of wait the sidelines. I mean, we're not really that far from all-time highs, so you could just kind of hold out to see how Bitcoin acts between now and August. And if we start to power higher and break that 2,900 and ultimately 3,000 area, that's going to be very bullish, and we could see a pretty decent rally following that. So should be interesting over the next couple days to weeks. Never a dull moment in the crypto world, my friends. Hang tight. Till next time, take care.